Okay guys, so I want to discuss this chart with you, and as you saw in the thumbnail, you're only seeing half the picture. I will show the rest of the picture in just a minute, but I want to show you why this could be a cycle top. I know people don't want to hear this triggers people when I say it, but I just want to show you what I'm seeing in the charts, and I also want to give you the bullish case versus the bearish case. So we're going to cover that, and just follow along guys. Whether you're bullish or bearish, look, we know what level we need to break to go much higher, and we know what our support levels are, and we're going to cover that. Guys, you can get leverage trading. Coincatch is a great option. There's no KYC. Use a VPN. You can use that to your advantage. That link to sign up is pinned in the first comment description. If you want to learn how to trade on Coincatch, tutorial video, how to set up your account, transfer funds to your futures account, use trading tools to trade. I'll put links to this video now if you want to check it out. So about a month ago, I put up a video. It was this one here. It says, was that the cycle top for Bitcoin? I just shorted it just in case. This was a month ago. I'll put a link to this video now if you want to check it out. If you'll notice, this curve right here. Basically, my charts, most of my charts are in log scale. So this curve, it encompasses all of our peaks. When you go to linear, this white curve right here is the exact same thing, but linear. You can see this. Since 2017, this has been our resistance. Now, I will explain what all these arrows are, and you see where it says range and all this. I'm going to explain all of that. By the way, this vertical orange line, this represents that orange ring I've been talking about. We're going to cover that as well. So let's cover the bullish case first, okay? Because we can't deny this. Trump's pro-crypto. There's a lot of stuff going on, but just purely going by the charts, we can see this green line here. It was resistance in 2021 right here. It was resistance again in 2021 in November. Well, we're holding support above that line. I'm not going to lie, that is bullish. So we know as long as we hold above 91,700, well, we're bullish right now. Now, I did add this red trend line. You can see that this was resistance here when we peaked around 73,900, and it was resistance again, and we're testing that now. So we have resistance levels above us. Guys, resistance levels break, and when that happens, we typically get a pump. Usually we'll come back down, hold support, and then push higher. Support levels break. If it breaks, you test it as resistance, well, we drop. I'm just giving you the levels and showing you the levels, but yes, this looks bullish. That is clearly bullish. Resistance, resistance, and now we're holding as support. And that time frame from when we peaked at that point right there until right now, this has been a total of what? That has been 1,366 days. That was a long time. So again, that's a strong ass resistance level now holding as support. So again, that's one bullish case, right? And then we have this pattern we're in, right? This pattern right here. It was resistance, right? We pushed above it with support, resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance, pushed above it, tested it as support, and pushed up. So we broke out of a bullish pattern. Yes, we have resistance, a lot of resistance up here around 108,000 to what, 109,000. So if we get above those levels and hold support, we're going much higher. I think if we measure, I'm not really sure how this is an odd pattern, but I think to measure the distance you'd break from one of these patterns, you just measure from the top to the bottom where you made contact from the point you broke out, and that would take us up to what, 115,000. If that happens, we know that's bullish because that's going to put us above our key macro resistance levels. So that would be the target, but we still have to get above those these key resistance levels we're testing right now. So again, we broke out of a bullish pattern. The target's at least 115,000 if this plays out, and we're holding above this this resistance now flipped as support. So we need to get above 110,000, and this chart here again. Same thing, it's around 109,215. And keep in mind, we could just move sideways and stay under this line and go higher. And again, the orange ring, it's a ring depending on price, depends on contact, but we could push all the way up to 112,000, right? And still be underneath this macro resistance trend line. So let me show you the other part of this chart, and that's the MACD. And all I want to point out, and if you'll see I have the MACD below, I have the arrows matching where the arrows are up here. But you can see this red macro trend line going back since 2017. We're testing that now. We've already tested it twice. We have not got above it. So if you'll notice, and this is what I want to point out, notice how the moving average on the MACD spikes, right? Pushes up, we test resistance, and then you see the moving average drop down to 0 or lower. When that happens, typically that's a cycle top. At least it happened here, right? And then notice what happens. This is a yellow. This is another trend line price disrespecting. We're going to cover that as well. So notice what happens. We get a spike in the moving average with the MACD, right? We spiked right here, and then we just ranged. That's what this represents right here. We just kind of ranged and went sideways, right? Got a little spike, but notice it dropped back down to 0 and just kind of just chopped and went sideways. Well, again, you see we peaked right here. The same thing happened right here. Notice right here. Now we did get 2 spikes here. Now if we put a vertical line here, this is the one exception. This is the one caveat here. Notice where this line is. It makes it a little thinner. It's a little too thick there. So right here, now we did get a spike right here, and price was around what, 41,000 at that point. We dropped down to what, 26,945. So it was a drop, but we did push back up. Notice that spike was right here, but we topped out at this red trend line. But notice what happened. We spiked. The MACD moving averages went all the way back down to 0, even lower, and then just chopped and went sideways. Price started ranging while it came down. Hold on, sorry guys, grabbed the wrong thing here. So again, same thing. Notice what happened. Where's that arrow? Right here. Same thing. We spiked, right? We spiked the moving average on the MACD, and then dropped back down to 0, dropped below, and started ranging sideways. Price started coming down. Notice we came up and we tested, that's what this one is right here. We tested this yellow trend line, right? We got a spike with the moving averages on the MACD right here. Then it dropped back down below 0 and just kind of chopped and went sideways. That was a top, that was a peak. Same thing here. We came up, tested the same resistance level. Notice we start ranging. Every time the moving average on the MACD pushes up and peaks, then comes all the way back down and then starts chopping, that typically is at least a top before we start ranging or consolidating to go sideways. And that just happened again right here. Notice the moving average in the MACD again. This is the daily, pushed all the way up, and again, this was a peak, guys. I mean, it could be a peak, but we're at a key resistance level. It goes back to 2017. MACD moving average pushed all the way up to what, 7,044, and then immediately dropped back down below 0. And it looks like I guess the average here is around maybe 1,500 to 2,000. So if we see, let me get my brush tool here. So if we see that the moving average, at least for the MACD, just starts chopping and doing something like this, then it's very possible, just like here, just like we were ranging right here, we could start doing the exact same thing. We could be topped, at least for now, around 109,000, around that area. We're going to start ranging, right? Just going by what happens every time we get a peak with the moving average on the MACD with the daily at resistance. Well, now we're going to start to range. And as I said, we're coming up on that orange ring. Now, I don't know if we're going to get a major pump at that ring or get a major dump at that ring, but we're going to get a big move. But I did want to show you what happens. You can clearly see that every time the moving average pushes up and peaks and then drops, that's a top. It pushes up, drops, that's a peak. Pushes up, drops, that's a top. It pushes up, drops, that's a top. Happens repeatedly. It's happened here. Again, I don't want to repeat myself. I'm just showing you why it looks like this could be at least a point we're going to consolidate. We can chop up and down until we either get a move to the upside, back to resistance, or potentially have a drop. We'll have to see what happens. But I think we're probably just going to chop and range from this point, just going by the MACD and comparing with this chart. Now, as far as timing, again, if we go to this chart, we are, let me measure. So from this point, again, this is a ring. The higher up we push, the further from this ring we get. The lower we drop, the closer to the ring we get. But at current price, underneath our resistance, we are about 76 days before we make contact. Now, look, if wherever we're at, when we make contact with that ring, I'm going to go long because we could hit that ring and push up. But when we cross it, I just think if we're under resistance, the safer play would be to go short because we're at resistance and we're about to cross a ring. And again, a ring is just a point where a major move can happen. It does not mean it has to be up or it has to be down. Notice when we cross this ring back here, we got a major drop. We hit this ring, got a major bounce, and we dropped below it as resistance and then had a drop. This ring, as we got close to it, we pushed up, then we crossed it, had a drop, then we pushed up, tested as resistance, and then we started ranging and going sideways. So a number of things could happen. I just know a major move will happen when we make contact with this ring. So if we're under resistance, I think it's very possible when we cross it, that will be the point where we'll see a major drop. If we're much lower, and we make contact with the ring, I would long it. I would long it until we cross it. But I think after we cross it, I think that's when we see some downside. Again, it's just a point to pay attention to. But the main thing I want to show you is we have a lot of resistance. And just looking at what happens every time the moving averages on the MACD push up, spike, and drop back down, that means we're probably just going to consolidate, move sideways for a while. So I'm not expecting us just to blast off and go to 150,000. And we might be stuck in a pattern for the next 2 or 3 months. But I do know that something major is going to happen at this point. So that's all I want to cover, and I hope that makes sense comparing this MACD with current price action. This is the weekly chart, just another chart just to show you that we're at such a critical resistance level. Look, this line goes back quite a ways. And it was support back here in 2022, and it's been resistance. We did push above it briefly right here. This one time we pushed above it, came back below its resistance, tested resistance, pushed above a bit, but notice you got a perfect rejection. So we know if we get above 109,500, 110,000, that holds the support. Guys, we're going much higher. The next line I have on this chart is 160,000, depending on when you make contact. If it goes all the way up to the ring, that's 186,000. If you go back to this chart right here, and we look at this fib retracement, if we break above, again, we're testing this fib retracement right at this point, right at this curve, which is that linear line, but in log scale. Well, your next resistance level just above. Do keep in mind we have trend lines we're respecting, but that next level is 175,000. So we know if we break above this point, we're going much, much higher. Let me go through these. And this chart that I'm talking about in every previous video, well, we know, this is our current resistance right now. It's a lot of resistance up here. 108,000, potentially 109,000. Next resistance level, 112,000. We have a lot of resistance. And again, I showed you what happens when the MACD moving average, peaks and drops. That means we're going to consolidate. So just preparing you for the possibility that, we won't get a major drop. We won't get a major pump. We're just going to chop and consolidate, potentially move sideways. And I think the major move will happen when we cross this point, which is this ring right here. Again, this is on the weekly. When we cross this ring, I think we get a major move. But it does not mean not to long it. Again, when we make contact, whether it's down here, wherever it's at, I will go long until we cross it. When we cross it, I will go short. I would like to point out, take note, this is the MACD. The MACD is pretty high up. We just consolidated and went sideways. Same thing. MACD's way the hell up here. So we could just consolidate, just do something like this. But at some point, again, I'm telling you, when we make contact with this ring, I expect a major move to happen. And this does coincide with my Dow chart. I'm not showing that in this video. I'll do that in the next video. But I just want to show you, just to be prepared, guys. I could be wrong. We know if we break above a certain point, we're going much higher. This is bullish as long as we're above 91,700. We break below that, guys. We do have support levels below, but that would be bearish. And we did break up from this pattern. So as long as we're above this level, stay bullish, hold your long. But if we start breaking below 99,781, or we come back down below 91,700, then maybe this range is going to start ranging kind of downwards. We could just range sideways. I don't know. But I just want to show you why it looks like this could be a cycle top. I hope that makes sense. I'm sorry this ran long, but I did want to show you this chart. Again, guys, you can sign up for Coincatch. That link's pinned in the first comment description. Remember, it's no KYC. Use a VPN. Use that to your advantage. And guys, you want to get live, if you have access to these live charts in our Discord, and if you do sign up, make sure you click on the contact page. Email me through the website. And if you have an account verified, I'll send you an invite link to join our Discord. But guys, that's pretty much it. Let's see what happens. You have your resistance levels to pay attention to. But to me, it just looks like this could be a cycle top. That's it, guys. Trade safe, trade smart. I'm out.